Thanks for tuning in to the basketball edition of the Huddle. We had some surprises in the NBC with boys basketball last week. Will you tell us about that, Mike?
I sure will, Ruth. A couple surprises on Tuesday night. We had the Marlington Dukes in an independent game. They went to Northwest and got dumped 47-31 by the Indians, and we never saw that coming. The saving grace in that, though, is it wasn't a league game, wasn't an NBC game, and Marlington has been on a roll in the NBC, and I look for that to continue. They have a big game Friday night with the Lions, so they'll be looking to bounce back there. But and then also on Tuesday night, West Branch entertained Carrollton, and Carrollton's one of the better teams in the league, and West Branch had been struggling, and West Branch knocked off Carrollton at home on Tuesday night. So that was a big upset on Tuesday night. And then other games on Tuesday night, the Alliance Aviators took care of business. They played Warren Howland in an independent game at Harry Fales Gym and had a nice win there, and the Aviators keep rolling along. And then Sebring went on the road Tuesday night. They had a tough assignment. They had to play the McDonald Blue Devils on the road, and they lost a 30-plus point decision to the Blue Devils. That was and McDonald's the first-place team in the Inter-Tri-County League, so that was a tough loss for Sebring. But you're going against the best team in the league, and Sebring's a young team this year, so not totally unexpected there.
Mm-hmm. So what do we have coming up for Friday night with boys basketball?
Yeah, well, the big one Friday night, we've got the rematch between Alliance and Marlington. This is going to be at Marlington, and like I said before, Marlington's coming off a loss, so my old coach used to say, you're never the same team 2 games in a row. You're either better or worse. I have a feeling because Marlington is coming off a tough loss, they're going to be focused and ready to play Friday night. And I know Alliance will be ready to play.
And they're at home too.
Yeah, right. And it'll be a packed house. That'll be Marlington has a little bit smaller gym than some of the other area schools, and that will be crammed to the top on Friday night, and that should be a great game. It's always good when Marlington and Alliance get together because it doesn't matter what the record, what the sport. I mean, both teams bring it, and there's a lot of excitement, and the fans benefit from that.
Any other games on Friday locally with boys?
Yeah, we've got a couple other games Friday night. West Branch is going to be at home Friday night. We've also got the Sebring Trojans will be at home Friday night as well. And but the big game, like I said, it's a crossover game because Alliance and Marlington play Friday night. So that is the marquee game this week on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Turning now to girls basketball, there was a big game Wednesday in Beloit where West Branch upset Carrollton to remain tied in first place with Louisville in the NBC standings, and Louisville also beat Marlington. Can you tell us about those games, Mike?
Yeah, that was a huge game because I think that's a game we've been pointing toward for about a week now because there was a 3-way tie going into Wednesday night, and then if Carrollton would have won that game, I think we were probably looking at a 3-way tie for the title, even though the season's not over and there's still a couple games to play. But in my mind, there's 3 top teams, girls basketball-wise, in the NBC, and it's Carrollton, Louisville, and West Branch. And so that game for West Branch was huge last night. So they got the win against Carrollton. Melinda Trimmer had a big game for West Branch. She continues to lead the area in scoring, I think over 15 points a game. And she had a big game. A couple other players had good games. So what that does now is West Branch and Louisville are tied for the lead with 2 league games left. Carrollton is now a game back, and they're probably going to be the odd team out now because when you look at their remaining schedule and West Branch's remaining schedule and Louisville's remaining schedule, they're probably home free. Although West Branch has a speed bump yet on Saturday, they have to go to Minerva, and I look forward to that being a great game on Saturday, Ruth. Great game.
Other key matchups for this weekend that you see?
Well, like I said, I think that's the big one. That is really the big one, and Minerva's been playing very well. Coach Fridges down at Minerva's done a great job. I think they've kind of been overlooked this year, only because West Branch and Carrollton and Louisville have probably gotten a lot more ink this year. But I think quietly Minerva's had a great year. I believe they've won something like 14 or 15 games. And they're the 4th place team in the league right now, but in other years, they probably would be leading the league. I think they're that good. So West Branch has to go there on Saturday, coming off an emotional win, and that could be tough, to get back up. And they need to get back up for that game because Minerva's good, and the game's in Minerva, where Minerva is extremely tough to beat. So I think that's going to be just a fantastic game on Saturday, Ruth.
With the sectional tournament drawings for girls basketball happening this weekend, what do you see as far as teams being seeded?
Yeah, we've got a few. I think Louisville has a chance to be seeded fairly highly in the Division I tournament. That's now things will change because Louisville is the big school in the NBC, and they will actually go into the Division I tournament, which will be played at Alliance again. and I think they have a chance to be seeded fairly highly. And then the other team would be West Branch, because they go to the Austintown-Fitch Division II sectional district, and we tend to feel that they will probably be the number 1 or 2 seed when they have those drawings this weekend. They beat Canfield early in the year, and Canfield only has 1 loss, and that was to West Branch. So we think it'll either be Canfield or West Branch will be 1 or 2. And they'll be, cross bracketed away from one another in that tournament. So those are the top teams, I think, that have a chance to be seeded. I think Minerva has a chance to be seeded fairly highly. They go to the Eastern District tournament outside of our area, and I think they have a chance to probably be seeded in maybe the top 4 or 5 in their tournament as well. So those are pretty much the top girls teams this year.
Okay. Thanks for tuning into the Huddle. Make sure you keep informed at www.the-review.com and in our sports section. We'll see you here next week.